Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Terry, and this is Diana, oil painter.
Hello,
And
hello.
you
Thank you
look
for
so.
having me.
Your background is so pretty. It looks like Christmas.
Thank you. It is a wreath. And yeah, we're there, aren't we? I mean, today is also the 15th. It's the day I put the tree up. But I got
Wow.
to put some stuff and vacuum and do all that stuff first. So
Yeah.
I thought I would take advantage of this 51-degree day and get outside and get those strings done now.
It's going to be 54, I think, here. I mean, it's 50
Ah,
right now, but yeah, I can't believe this weather.
yeah,
Knocked
it's
3 times.
right.
Yeah.
Shuffle the deck. Now pick a card. What'd you
Mhm.
get? The Three of Swords. Oh, well, there you go. It's over with.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna say hi to a few people. Hey, Rossi, how are you? Jeff is here. Hi, Jeff at Tarot Ass
Hi.
Backwards. It's so warm out. I'm talking in the taking in the deck. I think it's the deck. Yeah, you need it. Me too. Hi, Lori. How are you doing? Viviani is here. Kimberly Night Night. Hey, Kimberly. Book Bewitched. Hey, everybody. Yeah, so we've got universal laws and truths. Bright shining ray. Hi, honey. So, and today is the law of relativity.
And this is the most understood and bad rap law in the list.
Yeah.
Because what do we think of first off? We think of Einstein's theory of relativity. And that is a mouthful of words when you say it his way because it's also scientific. And
Yeah.
then we think about Newton's law, and his first law was relativity. His first was the law of motion. At rest, everything has zero velocity, and anything and everything will only move when there is a force behind it, right?
Yeah.
Well, that applies a little bit more than Einstein's scientific theory. But when you break down Einstein's theory, the simpler version is we as observers in relative motion experience time differently, and it is perfectly possible for two events to happen simultaneously from a different perspective
Yeah.
or because of a different perspective. And that's where the misunderstanding comes in, because this law pertains to us reaching our higher selves. That quincunx I'm always talking about, right? That fine tuning business, it's where to define and where to refine. Because if you do what you did, you're going to get what you got. And so it's even possible for you to get yourself in a place where failure doesn't exist. Failure is an opportunity. In fact, Henry Ford I said, failure is only an opportunity to begin again.
Yeah. Yeah. Harry Truman said never trust a person that's not gone bankrupt twice.
Oh, wait. So the lesson that is one of the most important things that we get out of here is your boundaries, limits, self-worth, the
Hmm.
value of others, resilience, strength, victimhood. And then there's the other side of being a victim. It's being the purveyor,
Yeah.
the predator.
The bully. Yeah.
Yeah, the bully, the mean cheerleader,
Hmm.
the nasty football guy on the high school team.
Well, in spirituality too, there's a lot of snobbery, surprisingly,
Right.
Yeah.
And so what are we looking at there? Are we looking at that 2 points of the same, two different perspectives of the same time span? If we keep that in mind, the argument becomes better. because
Yeah.
it's less of an argument and a lesson for us. Oh, we forgot our boundaries.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And you notice it differently, I think, as you go along. Like now at this stage of the game, if somebody comes in with something, I just kind of laugh it off because I'm like, okay, whatever you say. And
Yeah.
and I don't try to change anybody's mind because not only will you not change their mind, you won't change their world because
Hmm.
they've created a world in which either you know, MAGA, that world has been created. There's worlds all over the place that have been created,
Right.
and we're all intermixing around, and kind of like Starry, Starry Night, right? Everybody's a nebula.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Exactly.
creating their own star, their own universe.
That's a perfect analogy. That's beautiful. That's perfect.
Okay, we're done.
So it's how do you relate? Are you organized or messy, or are you with an organized mess? Especially me right now. I have an organized mess.
Ditto. I think a
I
lot of
know
us.
what's in every damn box.
Yeah, yeah. My dining room table is still an organized mess. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So there's that. Life is messy. Where's your focus? How do you clean it up? And it's only always, isn't it, just one step at a time? You multitasking only gives you more opportunity for failure out of many more things, right?
Yeah, it's so
So
bad for your brain.
yeah, right. And then there's
Mhm.
the ego involvement too. So how are you talking to yourself? Right. So it's not about superiority or inferiority.
Yeah,
It's the healthy ego. What does the healthy ego do? He stands in self-esteem and humility and integrity.
yeah.
Right?
Definitely, there's that, place of neutrality. Like,
Yes.
when we're in meditation and we talk about the gap, the space between time, the space between energy, space between light, that and with Lady Nada and Saint Germain and the violet flame and the magenta flame, it's all the same thing. It's that space of neutrality.
Yes. And I think that is something that Newton said somewhere along the way. It is in the it's in the universal version that everything is neutral.
Yeah,
There you go. You hit the nail. And everything is relative. And we attach the meaning that we attach to everything or anything. We attach meaning, we attach emotion. And so it's up to us to decide how we're going to deal with it.
yeah,
And if we were applying astrological signs to this, Cancer would be one of those signs. Because of the value of Cancer and that hearts is involved, but it's one of the most understood signs because it is wounded easily and hides in its shell. And its shell can be cracked.
wow. Hadn't thought about that. I love Kimberly Knight Knight just said something really great. "I'm not at war with anyone, letting go with war in myself. Just want a peaceful life and a dog."
You
And a
know,
dog.
and that brings us back to language that Shara was talking about the other day when you were on with her, when you had her visiting you. I I just loved what she was saying about speaking old speak because in Ireland and Britain, you use the words that are true. You
Yeah.
don't shorten. Everything is shorthand around here. And I know I do that a lot, and then I snap out of it because I realize what company I'm in. Like, if I'm off visiting, people aren't ready for that around here. They're like, "You're weird," and I'm okay with being weird, but they don't understand that I'm being specific. That this is listen to what is being said. So
Yeah. Yeah. It is, interesting, isn't it? And they say that every time you tell somebody what's wrong with them or something, It takes like 10 more compliments. Like if you have a child at school and you say, this is incorrect, um, it takes 10 more suggestions of complimentary suggestions to retrieve that
Right.
energy.
Find them being good, find them doing something right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so you can start out by just rephrasing the way you correct a person or a child, you
Yeah.
know? And sometimes it takes years because those are little feelings that get wounded easily, that get buried. And then you have that primal scream in your therapist's office, you know? Yeah.
Raise my hand for that one. I
Right?
got it and I did it.
Yeah.
Both. And now I'm getting there, and my daughter is like sometimes like, "Gosh, I wish you were like this when I was growing up." And I'm like, "Yeah, so do I."
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
And there were a few trickles of nuns and priests having gone to Catholic school for 12 years where that was starting to come in. But they were of a much younger generation than most of the nuns and priests that run the show. You especially when it came to the priests, you never had three young priests running the parish.
Yeah.
One was so old you were wondering how he was still standing some days.
Oh my gosh, right? Yeah. It's choose our own adventure, and your attitude and beliefs create the options. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Love that, Teresa. Love that.
absolutely. And the basis of that is, and the biggest takeaway from relativity is curiosity. Where can you improve on yourself so you don't do what you did and get what you got? Because we are responsible for our own actions, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's our choice. It's free choice.
Mm-hmm. It's free
Up
choice.
front. Yeah.
And it's like choose not to be a doormat. Doesn't mean you can't be a nice guy. I just had a conversation with a family member, which it's like, you also have a business of your own. Why ruin your reputation? Because when the reputation of this little rinky dink, um, it's, well, I can't say it because it's the name of the company. When that gets around that they're milking the client and that they're just not finishing the job, so they have to go back and take care of it, and that's one more service call and one more service call.
Mm.
You think your client who you build and repair guitars for aren't going to start associating that kind of behavior with your own personal integrity? Get out of there.
Yeah.
You don't need that. You have a calling. Work at your calling. Don't worry about the paycheck, because you can always go work at a gas station, and and pump, not pump gas anymore, but sell liquor and candy bars and potato chips on the inside.
Yeah. Book Bewitched says, "We are all onions, toddlers wrapped in years of experiences."
Wow.
Yeah. Right, Book Bewitched, the conditioned mind. Yeah.
Yes, that's beautiful. So challenges and failures are exchanged for our higher self, our higher vibrations. So, the phrase pay it forward was fail forward.
Ooh, I'm gonna write that down. I like that. I like that.
Because really, it's not failure. It's, if you define it, that's half the battle. You can go back and redesign the light bulb. How many times did it burn out before they started using tungsten? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's all energy, right? There's no good or no bad, no positive or negative. It's just energy.
Exactly. Brings us back to frequency and vibration.
Yeah.
And you know, we use it a lot, and Shara brought that to attention also. You know, put it out there. If you want it, you are what you project. You know, all of that. What she was saying, it's true. But rather than just talking about it and putting it out there, live it.
Mhm.
It can be the silent mantra that gets you to your higher self.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings us back to the compensation law, because last week, or last time we were together, it was difficult to stick to compensation. But in reality, when I stepped back after the show and thought about it, well, release is also compensation for the trip you took to get there. And
Mhm.
we did all have a lot of releasing to do the last time we visited together.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah. Lots of letting go that day. That was excellent.
Mm-hmm. And,
Um,
and and that's why these two laws are basically, it doesn't matter which one you do first, because one leads into the other, which brings us again to that yin and yang Cancer sign. You
yeah,
know, still that goes with it.
right. And we're so judgmental, right? With that positive and negative,
Yeah.
and seeing things and knowing that they're not right, or feeling that they're not right too as empaths, right? We feel
Mm-hmm.
there's something not right here. Um, and and judging ourselves for past behavior, judging ourselves for others' past behavior when there's only here and now. And it's that neutral point that you can start something new
Mm-hmm.
every minute, every second.
Mm-hmm. It's like the turnstile in the train station,
Yeah.
in the train yard. You know, before it's like you look at which track are you going to take. There's many paths out there. Which one are you going to go on? You have opportunity to pick and choose on your own, and that gives you a broader expectancy of what you're going to do when you get there. And it's like riding a motorcycle. You don't look at where you are, you look at where you want to go. Because if you look at where you are, you're going to fall down, because where you are is right here at the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's the opposite of that as just trying to look at what's ahead that you're and thinking about what's ahead and the next step that you're going to take. And it's just kind of you're not here now, right? Being present.
Right.
Well, it's a fine line, isn't it? That space of
Yes.
neutrality takes a
It
lot of patience and patience with yourself.
Well, and it's remembering that every nanosecond that ticks off is the here and now.
Yeah.
The next one is a different one. The next one is a different one. And so that turnstile comes back into play, because, you know, where's the track take me?
Yeah. So I keep seeing Thomas the Tank Engine. I don't know about anybody else. They had the
Me?
wheelhouse and Thomas the
Oh,
Tank
me
Engine.
too. I mean, I love trains. I even loved watching Thomas back in the day that I had little ones around. But if you watch John Oliver, he just did a thing on railroads and what's going on with the industry right now, et cetera, and it was very sad. But he did do a funny take on Thomas the Tank and
Really?
Mr. Topham Hat, you know.
Oh my god, that was so good. Yeah. We loved that. We loved that. They
Yeah,
had a they had a store in the plaza, and that was, an easy place to go kill an hour,
yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
Play with him.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so, being in the here and now is, and just staying in that space of neutrality and walking that line or spinning that line or whatever you're doing with it. I think that that works very well with curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Like when things happen, instead of reacting, being curious about what happened and abiding in your heart, abiding in your solar plexus. Okay, let's think about this with awareness right now. What is this, and how do I feel about this, and what am I gonna do about this?
Mhm.
Instead of that constant circle of karma. "Oh, I remember this. They said the wrong thing, so I'm gonna say this," and, you know.
Well, this is another thing about Cancer the Crab. He doesn't walk forward, back and forth, back and forth. He walks sideways.
Oh, yeah. Teresa Ford says, "I kept thinking about adjusting the sails on a boat, but I don't know how it actually works as I've never been sailing." Oh, but you have, Teresa.
Yes, you
Not
have.
in this
And
lifetime.
it's just catching the wind. It's
Yeah.
make it's like steering a car. It's like steering a motorcycle with the, curves in the road. You can't be what you have to learn how to use your peripheral. And I've never sailed a boat either, but you've sailed a kite. Not much difference. You know,
Yeah.
it, it's basically the same thing, catching the wind in a sheet, a cup, and controlling what it's doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that floating in between.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and challenges and failures,
Yeah. When we
like
stand in our higher self, we see the clarity that of what those challenges were. It's it's the square in your chart. It's think of it as a challenge. It's not out to get you, it's out to help you. Remember to stand in your integrity. Remember to do things with honesty and um, generosity in mind, and knowing when to draw the line on your boundaries so that, okay, this person has gone too far. It's no longer about me being generous, it's about them being power hungry. We're done. And like I said, you don't really have to be mean about it, but you can just say, well, this doesn't work for me. So I.
yeah, being clear thinking, clear speech.
Hmm.
That was a huge, lesson for me in this lifetime is, finding my voice again and learning how to speak clearly, from the heart. Because really, if you're telling somebody, "Gosh," what you just said, "Gosh, this doesn't feel good for me, but thank you."
Hmm.
Bam, done.
Right. I
Yeah.
have to think about that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Who was it? Doctor, James, I can't remember his last name right now, but, he's written quite a few books. Anyway, he talks about that, and he says when he needs a minute to gather his thoughts, he'll drop his car keys or bend down to grab something, pretending that something's down there, or pretend he gets a phone call to just kinda, give him that extra minute to kinda think about it,
And
and then it also diffuses the situation, which everybody comes back to it, and it's like, "Oh, well, let's start on something else." Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah,
breath of fresh air.
yeah, right? Yeah, adjustments, yeah,
So it comes down to respecting another also in doing so,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I don't see it your way. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It means that's where you're at, and this is where I'm at. Agree to disagree. All those little things that the marriage counselors tell us.
right, and loving people where they're at because,
Yeah.
all of us have family members or friends that are at different situations in their lives than we are, and, as time goes on, people die, people divorce, people have kids, our situations change, and it's different,
Yeah.
and still loving them right where they are. That's a big lesson too.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And loving them for who they are.
yeah, yeah,
If you know, which brings you back to a healthy ego, because rather than doing the whole argument thing and standing my ground, it's humility, it's self-esteem with what you have, and they have their own sense of self-esteem. Because if you admonish them to try to change that, it's not going to happen.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not the boss of you. You're not the boss of me.
Teresa Ford says, yes, we're all in different recipes, or we all are just different recipes. We can't see it all the same because we have different life missions.
I love that.
Yeah.
Girl, you need t-shirt business.
I'm telling you.
I can see that with moons dangling all around, those lovely crescent moons with this jingle jangles hanging off of them. And yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So we're testing ourselves. Things can get nitpicky, and the test comes in with character, integrity, kindness, honesty, stamina, values, and even influence, as in dropping your keys. You influenced the change of subject.
Mm-hmm. Just cleared the energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at my notes here.
Okay. So I wrote down here, challenging experiences only change your perspective. Like a lot of us, I talk a lot about FGOs, effing growth opportunities,
Oh,
and that really does change your perspective. And after you're aware of what you learned, and you're aware of, gosh, that was horrible, and you see that situation arising again somehow, you can think, well, gosh, been through that before. That's nothing. So I'll just, like you were talking about this family, person in your family.
yeah.
Oh, I've been through that before. I know what to do. I've got
Yeah,
this. It's no
exactly.
problem at all.
And I just feel for him because it just keeps happening to him over and over and over again. But okay, I do his chart, so astrologically, I know why he's stuck in this loop.
Yeah. It is a loop. It's a program, isn't it?
Yeah.
The programmed mind.
And he loses sight of the fact that this too shall change.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a guy down the street, has this great little business. He is an automobile business. He works on cars, and I used to take my other car to him all the time. And his wife died, and he got so busy. Like, he was already busy. He was helping out with Boy Scouts and Eagle Scouts and the church and his business, and he kept like falling and getting hurt, and then his shoulder got hurt, and then he had to have surgery. And I'm like, the universe is so wanting you to stop and just, relax and be at peace with yourself right now, and maybe you should slow down a little. But I couldn't really say all that.
Right.
Just, gosh, wouldn't it be great to take some time off and relax a bit? And he's like, no, 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 I have to do all this.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
it's hard to convince somebody of that if they're not in this circle that we seem to rotate in, that we vibrate in, that we frequent.
Yeah. And in my instance, I've done it wrong before. There is
Yeah.
a wrong, right?
You know how I got here?
Yeah.
I got hit in the head with the brick.
Um,
And I didn't want it to be my last breath, because the next one, that's what would happen.
Yeah, I love that Annie Bear says our field of awareness is changing. It is, and I feel like karma is changing too. Like, I feel like eventually, as we get into this 5D world, karma is not going to be karma. We
It,
won't be in that field of heavy density and making these mistakes, because we'll be aware.
right. We're already in the fourth dimension.
Oh, yeah.
Not everybody on the planet has joined us.
Yeah.
And because that's where we reside, it's getting harder and harder to go down, because we're still trying to go up, right?
Yeah.
And maybe the fact that retirement is part of when you get to that point, I don't know, but it does make it easier to avoid having to step into that for great amounts of time.
Yeah, I love that. Book Bewitched said something interesting. Have you all heard Goddess Ascension yet? Astonishingly beautiful music, light language, and soul clearing for me.
Oh,
Goddess Ascension. I have not, but I will listen to them. I know Allie had somebody beautiful on, Dina,
oh,
the other
Gina.
day. I'm gonna have her on the channel too.
She sang me to sleep the other night
Oh,
after we got done with the dream show.
yeah. I'm writing
Few
this
minutes.
name down now. Book Bewitched. Yeah, our attachments are wanting,
Hmm.
waning. Yeah, definitely. And Julie says, "Men grieve best by doing. Difficult to stop as the wave of one grief was looming. Hopefully,
Right.
he is healing." I hope so, Julie. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been in there for a while.
And
He's a nice man, beautiful business.
right, and we all have a masculine side, so some of us do that as well. Being female doesn't keep that from happening, you
I
know.
took over the family business. When that happened, I just took it over and ran it. Bam, 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 every day, every minute, and my phone was ringing, and I'm walking around, and I've been there, done that. Yeah, my divine masculine definitely popped out. Get her done.
Right, stay busy, that way you don't have to think, but all you're doing is delaying the grief and maybe making it worse, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Teresa Ford says, "What is the name of that tribe that surrounds someone and sings their praise when they make a mistake so they can be reminded of how good they are deep down?"
Oh,
This is a big shamanic thing too, Teresa. I know, Alberto Velarde or whatever his name is talks
yeah,
about this. Gabor Mint talks about this. Yeah, this is a really great thing.
I know about it, but I cannot tell you where it originated. If it was Australia, Aborigine, or if it's South America.
Oh, Book Bewitched, have a great day. Have a great
Hmm.
show. She's gotta go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye bye. And I just tried to do that again. Now, this morning, while you were in meditation, I had to delete my app in order to get into the live. And I was just now trying to turn my phone on so that I could watch the chat as well. And it wouldn't allow me to listen to it live. It would show me the picture and allow me to watch the words,
Yeah. Yeah.
but not the chat because the minute I clicked on chat, it crashed. So, since that is still happening and it's not happening on my bigger devices, I'm going to, next time I get in the car.
Oh, I'm just throwing them up there. I hope that's not disconcerting for you.
Oh,
Okay,
no, no. That part, I don't mind it. I love it. I love that you do that.
good,
No, no, no. I
good.
didn't mean that. Just trying to catch things as well.
Oh,
'Cause
that's
your
okay. I'll
demand.
do it. Yeah. Teresa Ford says she Googled. Doctor Google says the Bemba tribe lives
Oh,
in northeastern Zambia.
Zambia, Africa. Okay, good.
Yeah, I think there's some other South American tribes that do this, and indigenous tribes too, that if somebody made a mistake, yeah, they would all take care of them
Right.
instead of, cutting them out of the tribe. So, yeah, really good though, really good. Um, so that limited belief system, instead of thinking it's all relative, like, well, she thinks this is wrong, and she has this belief, and, it's all relative, like, my greatest, pain might have been a death of someone close, and someone else's greatest pain might be they couldn't build their swimming pool in the sunshine, they had to build it by some trees, and it's still relative in a weird way. I mean, it's not right, it's a different kind of pain, but But for them, perhaps in their lifetime, this was the biggest and worst thing in that moment, and
Sure.
they persevere over it. And then persevering over, grief. It's a different grief, it's a different trauma, but, it's just like sometimes, you have lifetimes when you're brought up, um, in families where, everything flows off their back. So when things come up and situations arise and you meet somebody and you need a boundary, your boundaries are already there, they're built in. And then others of us have the opportunities to create boundaries because we did not have that upbringing. And
Right.
no fault of our parents, they didn't have that upbringing perhaps, and perhaps that's ancestral, but that was, that's what's going on in this lifetime. And, you have that, so we have opportunities to learn that.
Well, and rather than getting into that heated situation where you're trying to convince somebody why they're wrong and you're right,
Yeah.
or vice versa, it is okay. So explain to me how you got to this answer. Tell me how you're thinking. You know, don't and it doesn't mean it's going to change your mind about anything, but it does get the other person talking and diving deeper into, okay, what is driving this? Why do I feel this way? Like who had the story about getting on the airplane? Or was that on John Oliver and a guy from Texas? No, maybe it was Nancy Jean. Where did I see this? Guy got on a woman got on a plane, and a guy from Texas sat down next to her. She's older, he's younger, and he wanted to start a conversation about Trump, who really won the election. And she said, well, wait a minute, before we talk about that, do you know da 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 da? Do you know da 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 da? And do you know da 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 da? And he said, no, no, no to all of those questions. And the bottom line was, well, how can you talk about that if you don't know about shit? If you don't know shit about this, I can't remember where I saw it, if it was one of those things that pop up on YouTube.
Yeah. I don't know.
It
Oh,
was
and community
hilarious.
page. Yeah,
Yeah,
or
it
short.
was hilarious. It was hilarious because they had a picture of the guy and everything. Or maybe it's somebody sent it to me in Messenger. I don't remember.
I don't
Shame
know.
on me for starting that, but I thought I had it all in my head. But it was so funny because why should I talk to you about anything? You don't know shit.
Yeah.
And that's what all these questions were. Things about latrines and toilets and
Oh, I see where you're getting with that. Okay.
hello.
It's like, well,
Like
that's
nothing
a
like
little
blowing my
judgmental.
joke.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Don't tell
Teresa
a story
says,
till you've memorized it.
yeah. No, you can pitter patter here any day, Diana.
Good. But
Grief
if
can,
you run across it, that's hilarious.
yeah, that is great. I remember seeing that. I do
Okay.
remember seeing
Was
that,
it
and it
on
was
Nancy
really
Jean's
funny.
pop-up or somebody had
Somebody had it, yeah, and it was all about, plumbing.
yeah.
And if you don't know, yeah,
Right.
shit, then yeah, I get it, yeah. Teresa Ford says, "Grief can become a big hole we fall into or a stepping stone. It can go back and forth. We can't judge our our grief or others." Yeah, grief is very personal, right, Teresa?
Mhm,
Yeah, and trauma is very personal.
mhm.
Um, you might act out because of trauma in early childhood or adulthood, whatever. And, and, it's interesting because, um, there's always that pain there of somebody's acting out. And so it's a curiosity of, well, that makes me curious what happened in this lifetime that makes you feel like this, And you don't have to ask them that because you might get a lot. And
Right,
that might not be something they wanna hear or talk about either,
right.
but
But
it
that
is.
brings back to the one of the biggest takeaways about relativity is curiosity.
Yeah, yeah. Social discourse. I think social discourse is being curious about what people have to say and listening.
Yeah.
A and it seems like listening should be a universal law too, because
Well, yes, even to some of those that we, really don't want to listen to, there is still validity because is it true? Is it not true? Weighing the odds and what makes him think this way. You know, I, I think about, well, of
Mhm.
course, I'm thinking about that guy. And he, he could have been a contender, Stella. But instead, he indoctrinated the dark side and has ruined it, ruined what we were doing to try to improve things by making us take pause and start a fight all over again that we had already fixed one time, you know?
Are you talking about 45?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I do think so, but I think he is an agent of change.
Yeah. Oh,
And
there's no doubt about that. For sure.
yeah, yeah, and I feel like, you know, it's something that we have to work on, this change, and he made it glaringly apparent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kimberly says, "I always feel sad when someone tells a child or adult to stop crying. They judge the need for tears. Your pain is not valid. So sad, right? Or you have to be perfect and you have to get good grades at everything and get into the right college and the right sorority and fraternity. You
Yeah.
know, there's a
But
lot of things that we set people up for.
sure. And it's covering one layer after another because right there with those tears, it's a cover up. You're not
Yeah,
allowed to release that. And my generation was brought up, stop crying. You got nothing to cry about. I mean, it was my mother's mantra. Well, my head split open and the blood's running down my face, and my brother just threw a flashlight, hit me, and gave me that wound, and I got nothing to cry about. And,
right? Yeah,
and I'm laying on the table to get the stitches, and all they kept saying was, "We gotta sew your eye up. Stop that. Stop moving. Stop kicking." Well, I'm 4 years old, 5 years old. Sorry, just about to turn 5, and they're gonna sew my eye shut. I don't know what they're talking. I think that I'm never going to be able to look out of my eye again. I'm fighting them tooth and nail. You know, choice of words, power over a child. All
yeah,
of that was coming into play.
yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, Kimberly was told, "You're too sensitive." I imagine all of us here were, and shut you down for a while, not anymore, right? Or don't make waves, don't speak your truth. And now I kinda live by the, motto that fly your freak flag every day,
yeah.
somehow.
Oh, yeah. Felt like,
Dance, laugh, be silly.
yeah.
Yeah,
Feel
yeah.
like letting my freak flag fly. Neil Young, sing it.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, we do need to let go of 45 so he can leave. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's on his way. He's on his way.
Yeah. But he's darn sure we're going to keep having to deal with him on the way out. And Teresa, I've let him go, but there are times it's like, oh my gosh, every time I put this station on, I got it, and you're doing it, and I can't listen. I'm sorry. I love you, but can't listen.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't either. Yeah, Teresa Ford's giving Kimberly love. Yeah, lots of love, Kimberly.
Absolutely.
Um, Annie Bear got stitched at the same age. First boyfriend, 5 years old, we ran
Oh,
straight into each other.
were you, were you trying to kiss or what? And you don't know how, what part to use? I'm sorry. I bet that hurt. I know
Yeah,
mine did.
right. Yeah, I can't listen. I don't have to. I
Absolutely.
think, 5, that's when I broke both my wrists. I got hit by a
Oh,
car.
oh,
Yeah, yeah. That was a lesson. Uphill and downhill, running into the sprinkler. Yeah,
oh,
Annie Bear says. Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Right. Kimberly, people like it when we are inappropriate sometimes, in a fun way, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It's not, I find that, people like that reaction of something different, not being, normal, I guess. I don't know what normal is, but normal.
Every day's a new normal. That's what normal is.
Yeah, yeah.
And I am having the strongest deja vu right now.
I am too. Like, we've had this background before, we've had this sequence before. It's yeah.
Uh, And we know this is a new time and space, but honest,
The vortex.
yeah,
We're in
I
we're in
don't
the
recall that being part of my dream last night, but that lamplighter thing was so Dixonian. It was just, it was great to have that whole thing come back during meditation this morning. I like that one.
Oh, good. Yeah, I did too. Um, so, there's also, the limited belief system. It's all relative, and then all truths are half truths.
Hmm.
That was another thing that I got out of this is that, yeah, it's true for me. Is it true for you? Probably not, because we are all creating our own nebula
Right,
and living in our own space and our own creation.
right.
And talking about, somebody said when I was studying this, speed of light is the only constant value in the universe. And I think that's changed. I think the speed of love is the only constant
And that was
in the
Einstein.
universe.
That's part of his whole thing of relativity and speed. That
Yeah,
was in part of the explanation on that.
yeah,
Internal reference frames and the speed of light is the same for all observers, even those moving with respect to one another.
yeah,
But is that so? You know, this is the most human law of all of them, which is why it's one of those that's the hardest to understand, to deal, to not slip backwards on a muddy slope because
yeah.
someone close to might be needing a pull up the muddy slope and you get accidentally dragged down.
Every day.
Yeah,
Gotta watch it every day.
yeah.
Yeah, right? Kimberly laughing about this world and the universe. Yeah, it beats the alternative. It
Well,
does.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. Half truths are good. So I think that's either the male person or my daughter's coming home. So I think it's the male person. Tommy,
Tom,
not
Tommy, can you
Tyler's
hear
favorite.
me? Tyler's singing. Tommy, can you hear me?
Yeah, Thomas the tank engine too.
Yeah. Mr. Tom.
Yeah.
So where do we keep our focus, right? What should we focus on when we're doing that? When we're in a state of relativity and we have to decide what is relative to the moment. Because we don't really always have to, right? It's not something that is pressurized daily, moments from moment to moment to moment, right?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of us have, like, really good teachers all around us, like you, Diana, Allie, I mean, everybody in the chat. I feel like, for me, a hard thing is housework. That's relative. But if I know that I have, like, shows coming up that day and my dining room table looks like it's looked for 3 weeks, um, then I'm like it gets me a little antsy, but, Kim and two of you, that is her meditation time. She finds that, um, just diving into, whether she's dusting or mopping or this is her time of meditation, that she can just be completely in the sensory issue of it. And I
And
try to remember that.
I slip into that myself,
Yeah.
knowing that that was the message that she had put out, though I do remember hearing that before. Um, but that's what it is for me because I'm a visual person and I can live with the mess because I know I'm getting ready to change it big time. And that's
Yeah.
going to be up for a couple of months. So, and slowly detox here and there to just being a winter thing, whatever. But it's like nobody's coming over. I don't have to worry. I'm not impressing anyone. All I got to worry about is me, two dogs, and a bird. They don't. Why should I?
Yeah.
As long as the food's in their bowl and they can get to it, they're happy.
Right. It's different for everybody, isn't it? What brings us to that space.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Walking.
We sing over and around Diana's phone, Kimberly says
There we
silently.
go. um,
Oh, there
walking.
you go,
Absolutely.
Sharon.
I, I
Yeah.
I test myself constantly with walking. I especially at this time of the year because I like to walk as it is dark, getting dark, okay, in the
Mm,
woods. And my test is I know where I'm going. So that's not the issue because I know the paths pretty well. But it is being aware of the time and where the sky is and what it's going to look like, whether it's been a sunny day or not, and being able to utilize that sensory perception as to arriving at the destination exactly when I want to. I feel like Doc from Back to the Future when it's the what do you call it, the flux capacitor and the space time continuum.
yeah. Yeah. Anywhere it says walking and before you know it, you're in the in between.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is beautiful. For me, it's floating.
Mm-hmm. Dancing with your
Floating in
feet.
yeah, in the hot tub. That puts me in that complete space of, psh,
Mm-hmm.
anything with water. Yeah.
Like the other day, I tested the dogs because Gloria is the leader. She used to be a horse. All I have to do is this, and she knows which direction she's supposed to turn. Well, I just discovered that she understands the difference between right and left.
Wow.
I was doing that the other day. Now, I can let her run loose, but I don't do that with Grizzly. And she will stop if I stop, even though she's the leader. Well, it was getting pretty dim. And so I was testing Grizzly with the stopping and pretending to go in a different direction. And he just refused to give in to going any direction but where his nose was taking him. And I knew he was doing this correctly, but this was a test for him. He took us right back to the car.
Wow.
And every time I stopped, she would stop, and she would stop, wouldn't be in the lead by doing so. So I kept doing that to give him the opportunity to be the guy taking the lead and using his nose and getting us to where we needed to go.
Yeah.
And I was so impressed with this little 10 pounds of holy poop.
Aw. Sharon listens to the soundtrack from Somewhere in Time. Ooh.
Ah,
Yeah. Yeah. I, It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, and animals, I think being in our senses is a really easy way to be present and to be in that
Mhm.
space.
Yeah.
Walking meditations are huge, and
Mhm.
it's such a joy.
And since
Dancing
when,
meditations.
especially if you are tucked into a place where you're in the woods and it's a time of day when there's not a whole lot of people there, because sometimes this is a state park, so sometimes it gets pretty crowded, especially on the weekends. And so, um, to sense that there's another person on the path coming in your direction, not hear them, but you're getting a vibration off the ground that is, your body is noticing, your deep hearing is noticing. And it's like, oh, alert, alert, pick up the little one. And sure enough, here comes the person. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Kimberly Night Night, still waiting for Roxy Girl's return. Can't wait. Yeah, yeah. That's hard. That's hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
four-legged babies.
Yeah.
That's so sweet. Yeah. Um, well, anything you wanna end with?
I can't think of a thing. I'm,
What?
you know,
No.
I'm, we're, except that don't you really feel this continuous blue ray? For me, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've spoken of it before, but on the 14th, I was like immobile. Of November, I could not get off that couch. I wasn't, worried about it or anything. It was just stay here. Download is coming in. Things are happening. Something's changing. DNA is moving. And then on the 18th, I was looking up at the sky at about, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning, looking at the planets, and I was really studying Jupiter. And while I'm watching him, he turns purple, then he turns deep indigo blue, and then he begins to lighten back up, flashes a rose quartz pink, and then goes back to his normal color of that brilliant star that he shines as.
Wow.
And it was like, oh, were those all my star seeds at once?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of energy coming in at us, everybody.
Mhm.
So, make sure that you're taking time for yourselves and, you know, sensing, always sensing what it feels like in your heart, what it feels like in your solar plexus, and giving yourself that peace,
Mhm.
that
Present
time.
yourself in the present.
Yeah. Yep. That's a
Could be
good
a
one to
present
remember.
to everybody else.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
our time is just like up.
I know, it happened so fast, didn't it?
It
Yeah,
did.
these always do.
We are,
Yeah.
well, shall we decide that we're going to get together again on this?
Yep, let's do. Um, and now you're totally distracted, Annie Bear says, right?
What were you
I'm
going to
being
say? I'm
sarcastic.
sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say we can do that off the, studio or out of the studio because 'cause I'll have to
Okay.
look at my
Okay.
calendar, and I'm gonna
Oh, right.
bore
You got a
everybody.
thing to do right now, don't you?
Yeah, in half an hour. I got a half
Oh,
an
okay.
hour. So, anyway, well, everybody, thank you for being here. Annie Bear and JJ from Two Tots Speaks are going to be on at 2:30, and then Allie will be here, and then tonight I will be on um, Nancy Jean's channel. So it's pre-recorded, but it's the candles, 9 candles. So yeah, and the blue light. And mine is the blue light special, which was funny because
At Kmart, Christmas at Kmart.
right, it is the blue light special for sure. All right, everybody. Have a great day, and we will see you in just a wee bit.